Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 29, Text 32. Translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Prabhupada. Artha gyat sangshaya cheta tata shrayan swakarma krit mukta sangas tato bhuyan adogdha dharmam atmanaha. Better than the Brahmana who knows the purport of the Vedas is he who can dissipate all doubts, and better than him is one who strictly follows the Brahminical principles. Better than him is one who is liberated from all material contamination, and better than him is a pure devotee who executes devotional service without expectation of reward. Purport. Arthagya Brahmana refers to one who has made a thorough analytical study of the Absolute Truth and who knows that the Absolute Truth is realized in three different phases, namely Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. If someone not only has this knowledge, but is able to clear all doubts if questioned about the Absolute Truth, he is considered better. Further, there may be a learned Brahmana Vaishnav who can explain clearly and eradicate all doubts, but if he does not follow the Vaishnav principles, then he is not situated on a higher level. One must be able to clear all doubts and simultaneously be situated in the Brahminical characteristics. Such a person who knows the purport of the Vedic injunctions, who can employ the principles laid down in the Vedic literatures, and who teaches his disciples in that way, is called an acharya. The position of an acharya is that he executes devotional service with no desire for elevation to a higher position of life. The highest perfectional Brahmana is the Vaishnava. A Vaishnava who knows the science of the Absolute Truth, but is not able to preach such knowledge to others, is described as being in the lower stage. One who not only understands the principles of the science of God, but can also preach, is in the second stage. And one who can not only preach, but who also sees everything in the Absolute Truth and the Absolute Truth in everything, is in the highest class of Vaishnavas. It is mentioned here that a Vaishnava is already a Brahmana. In fact, the highest stage of Brahminical perfection is reached when one becomes a Vaishnava. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Guru Paramananda Premananda Palaprada Vrajananda Pradhananda Sevayang Maneyojaya. He Guru Jnanada Dinabandho Swananda Tata Karunaika Sindho Vrindavana Sina Hitavatara Prasida Radha Pranaya Prachara. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Vandeham Shri Guru Shriyataf Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Nama Shrishtam Manamapi Shachiputram Atra Surupam Rupam Tasyagrajam Uruparing Maturing Goshtavartim Radha Kundam Girivaramaho Radhika Madhavasham Prabhto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi Guru Vaishnav Bhagavan Tina Smarane Hoy Vigna Vinashan Anayashi Hoy Nijavan Chita Puran Madgavir Api Gopala Sri Kuryat Kripaya Yadi Tadaiva Sangpaya Pitva Rishyayus Tat Priya Janaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you all for coming. As I usually say at a festival, there's no festival without devotees to make it a festival. You can have all arrangements, but it requires the presence of everyone. So thank you all for coming. I don't even know everyone who to thank. I know Ram Jagannath Prabhu has been working hard for several weeks, if not months, to arrange all of this. And so many, cooking department, finance department, cleaning department, organizational, getting everyone in there, lodges or whatever. So, Chala Dhanyavadam to all of you. That's Telugu. If you want to say Bahut Dhanyavadam, many thanks. Now you're here in Telugu land, you can say Chala Dhanyavadam. So thank you very much. And thank you very much to Tirupati Tirumala Devasthanam for giving us this land to erect our pandal here and have this program here. And Chala Dhanyavadam to Revati Raman Prabhu for having erected this beautiful temple. I first came, actually I'd been in India, I think for more than 10 years before I came at all to South India. And when I came to Tirupati, the land was there, but there wasn't much going on. And Revati Raman Prabhu had the vision to put up a big temple here. And I thank him also for arranging darshan of Srinivas up on the hill. The time before that, I thought I'll never go again because they push you so badly. I can have darshan of beautiful Radha Govinda here, very peacefully and very nicely. But he arranged that we could go very peacefully and very nicely to have darshan of Radha Govinda here. So thank you to all for coming. I don't see any of my God siblings here just in time. I was going to say thank you to Basu Ghosh Prabhu, Mukunda Datta Prabhu and Falini Mataji for kindly coming. And Basu Ghosh Prabhu has just arrived. I think, was that the first time you came to Tirupati? You came when Prabhupada came. Was that the first time you had been here? I mean, of course, Prabhupada must have been here prior to that. Probably he did come to South India in his business days. And that was 1974, I think you came with Srila Prabhupada to Tirupati. And he's so kindly coming here to bless us all 51 years later. And what a difference of the world then and now, and India then and now, and ISKCON then and now. We could have hardly imagined in those days. Prabhupada saw it, but we didn't see it. In those days, ISKCON in India was Srila Prabhupada and a few mostly Western devotees. There were no temples. There were not what we call temples today. We had Albert Road, that little building, we had rented houses. There was Bengali Bazaar, what was that in Delhi? Bengali Market in Delhi. Vrindavan was still under construction. Hyderabad was under construction. That was the only thing in the whole of the south, in Hyderabad, something under construction. Some rented house in Bangalore came later even than that. So a lot of development. So thank you for coming. It's very important for me to be with my god siblings so I can remember who I am. Because we're all in relation to Srila Prabhupada, and although the disciples are supposed to see the Guru as good as God, the God siblings know us from when we were all bachas crawling around in our napkins. Almost. So it helps to keep everything in perspective. So among the many things you can do for spiritual advancement here, there's one extra advantage. You can bow down at the lotus feet of my god brothers and one god sister who hasn't come to this particular session, Satram. She hasn't come. But you can bow down, ask for their blessings, and you can bow down to all the Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. We say that every morning, and it just happens that in the course of our activities in the day, we may say things and do things which make others feel unhappy. Even unwittingly it may happen. We may not even know we're doing it. So it's good to ask for forgiveness for offenses done knowingly or unknowingly. And I can do it for the whole year, all at once. Ask for forgiveness for offenses. Of course, the best thing is not to make offenses in the first place. We should try to avoid that. Important, essential part of Vaishnava dealings. Try to avoid offenses. We shouldn't sentimentally imagine that everything that everyone does is all lila and everything is all wonderful. There are proper activities and improper activities. So, living with Vaishnavas, we have to be very careful to keep our discrimination clear and sharp, and at the same time, keep our discrimination clear and understand what is proper and what is not proper, and at the same time be tolerant of wrongdoings, or not to the best or proper standard. Tolerant and intolerant. Means intolerant, we should always look to try to improve everything. Our own standard and the standard of our own society, how we're all advancing, following all the principles. But at the same time, we shouldn't look for faults in others or unnecessarily magnify them. So thank you all for coming here. It's a festival to honor me. That's what it is. There are so many festivals throughout the year. How many official festivals are there at Tirumala? I know in Sri Rangam there are more than 200 every year. It's more, 2 out of every 3 days they have a festival. And now is the biggest festival of the year. And Brahma Mahotsav, when is that? That's also in the winter, is it? 9-day festival. But practically every day is a festival here. Yeah, it's so many people. Actually, every day is a festival wherever there's Krishna consciousness, because we have dancing and singing and food distribution. And Krishna's there. And Krishna is a permanent festival. But this festival is for honoring me. And when I look back and I think, talking about those days, 1974 you were here with Srila Prabhupada. Where was I? I was, which month was that? April 1974. I was still at school, looking out the windows, thinking, when am I going to escape from this prison? When I look back at my earlier days, we had so many, there was a lot of struggle, many austerities. That was just what it was. You probably don't remember. I remember in Calcutta, Albert Road, I'd been, it must have been, let me see, beginning of the summer of 1978, I guess. And you gave me a stamp of approval, saying that now you're an India devotee. You've been here more than 6 months. Most of them don't last 6 months. Once you've been here 6 months and you're doing regular service and you're not just wandering around here going on parikramas and actually doing service, you're counted as a real India devotee. Because so many devotees came and they wouldn't stay. Even big shots would come. And they wouldn't stay. It was very difficult in those days. And of course in the West also, this movement wasn't built by devotees just chanting Hare Krishna. It was built with a lot of hard work and a lot of austerity. And I feel in many ways I was more Krishna conscious then, because we really had to surrender and work hard and one of the major problems in India is that devotees were mostly getting sick all the time. We didn't even know how to keep healthy. There wasn't any. I remember once I was in Maharashtra. This must have been 1978 also, and there was no drinking water. It was in the summer in Maharashtra. I asked, where is there drinking water? No, there isn't any. It's just if you can get some water because it's so dry and you boil it, you can drink it. But there's just no water for drinking. So it was a very difficult time, and I think I was more Krishna conscious in those days. But anyway, we all have our duty to perform at different stages in life. A child has to act in a certain way. When you're a young adult, you have to act in a certain way. Now I'm older, and it's expected that, and having taken sannyas, it's expected that I should instruct others, give guidance to others. Srila Prabhupada wanted his disciples to give initiation to others, which means to accept responsibility for their spiritual life. But still, it could be asked, why is there such a big festival to honor me? And Srila Prabhupada also addressed this question several times. In India, practically, at least among Hindus, we don't need to, because the institution of Guru is well known and well accepted. And still among most Hindus, it's well accepted. But in the Western countries, many people were shocked, and they still are shocked, to see the level of respect which is offered to gurus. They think it's wrong that any person should be so much respected. And of course in Islam, they think that to offer worship to any human, even to Hazrat Muhammad, peace be upon him, you have to say that, otherwise you get your head cut off, is good reason for cutting your head off if you worship someone else other than Allah. La illallah wa illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. There's no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his prophet. So, but you can't even worship Muhammad in their culture. So Srila Prabhupada, he explained at the conclusion of a talk which he gave on Vyasa Puja Day. Oh, before I should say, he taught his disciples how to offer Vyasa Puja. They didn't know. Really, the Western devotees didn't know anything. They knew nothing about Krishna consciousness, Vaishnav culture, nothing. So Srila Prabhupada, first of all, in Japan, had to teach his disciples how to celebrate Vyasa Puja. At the end of a talk he gave in Hamburg, in Germany, in 1969, Srila Prabhupada said, all this eulogization about me, people, outsiders may think that this man is being flattered and he is hearing his own eulogization. But that is not the fact. It is the test how they are receiving the message sincerely and they are expressing their feelings. So Srila Prabhupada is saying here that Vyasa Puja, the disciples have to praise the Guru, and the Guru is testing to see how they're expressing their feelings. And Srila Prabhupada goes on to explain, so it is going to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's meant for Krishna. It has come through the channel of disciplic succession, and all these praises will also reach to Krishna through that disciplic succession. So in other words, the mercy and the instructions from Krishna come down through the disciplic succession, and the praise is offered to the Guru, who offers it to his Guru, and it goes up to Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada said, so it is not a personal thing. These things are required, just like in military training. They are taught by the officers in a different way, in so many ways. Similarly, this is also training of Krishna consciousness, so that the feeling of pure Krishna consciousness will reach to Krishna. I thank you all, Srila Prabhupada said. I thank you all very much for your improving in Krishna consciousness. So it's an opportunity for me to say to all of you, thank you for improving in Krishna consciousness. If you've been practicing for 1 year more, we should be always improving. Thank you for improving. Srila Prabhupada went on to say, I am a sannyasi. You know, I came here empty-handed, and you are providing for me. Same thing. I am a sannyasi. You all look after me, all my physical needs. And what can I do for you? Srila Prabhupada said, I shall simply pray to Krishna. I shall simply pray to Krishna that you may all be benefited. Then Prabhupada said, another thing, don't be satisfied that you have understood and that's all. No, this should be distributed. So you come to the Guru for spiritual shelter, spiritual guidance, spiritual aid, spiritual progress, but this should be distributed. Just like Srila Prabhupada said, just like in my old age, I have come to your country carrying the order of my spiritual master to distribute it. You are all young boys and girls, Srila Prabhupada said at that time. Now here we have young boys and girls and elderly and in between. Srila Prabhupada said, take this message and distribute it. The whole suffering humanity will be happy. That is our mission. Thank you very much. In Sydney, Srila Prabhupada explained the same principle. Srila Prabhupada said, sometimes we get honor. Just like I have become a spiritual master, I am getting honor, I am getting respect. But if I want to utilize your service for my personal comfort and do not actually preach Krishna consciousness, then I am another fool. So we have to be very careful. There's some criticism of gurus in ISKCON from some quarters that they're simply taking facilities from others, living comfortably. But you have to benefit by giving Krishna consciousness, preaching Krishna consciousness. If we only take facilities and don't preach Krishna consciousness, then we become rascals. So Srila Prabhupada continued, my business is to introduce you to Krishna, to convince you some way or other that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You surrender unto Him and you will be happy. That is my business. That's a beautiful sutra, encapsulation. Very briefly, Srila Prabhupada has summarized his role as a guru. That is my business, Prabhupada said. My business is to introduce you to Krishna, to convince you some way or other that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Surrender unto Him and you will be happy. That's it. In a nutshell. So that business I must do, and I have dedicated my life for that business. That is my interest. Nachatasman manusheshu kaschin me priyakritamaha. Krishna said, anyone who is trying to introduce this philosophy to my devotees, he is my great, very dear to me. So in order to be recognized by Krishna, it is my duty to do my best to introduce as many persons as possible to Krishna. That is the Krishna consciousness movement. I give you the information. I don't say that you surrender unto me, but I say surrender unto Krishna. Now this might seem to be untrue, because Srila Prabhupada teaches, as the Shastra teaches, that you have to surrender to the spiritual master. But what does that mean? You surrender, but you first of all have to see who is the spiritual master. Is one who teaches you to focus on Krishna. So surrender to the spiritual master means the system for surrendering to Krishna. When Srila Prabhupada arrived in Los Angeles on July the 8th, 1974, Srila Prabhupada in an arrival address said, I thank you very much for your kind reception. It is necessary. Then Srila Prabhupada quoted, Sakshad dharitvena samasta shastrair uktastata bhavyata eva sadbihi kintu prabhoya priya eva tasya vande guru shri charanaravindam. This is the process, Vedic process, to receive the transcendental knowledge through the parampara system, and the reception or honor given to the spiritual master goes to Krishna. The spiritual master is the official collector. Just like in the government there is a collector. He receives the money, taxes from the citizens, not for his personal use, but for the government. So this is an example that Srila Prabhupada often gave. Just like the tax collector collects his taxes from the citizens and gives it to the king, so in the same way, the spiritual master accepts honor on behalf of the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada continued, similarly, this is the Vedic system to receive knowledge through the transparent medium, the Guru, and to receive, Guru means the honor goes to Krishna. This is necessary. This is not an artificial thing, but spiritually it is necessary. Therefore we hold Vyasa Puja Day. In another lecture, which he gave just a few days later after this, Srila Prabhupada explained this further. Prabhupada said, there are so many debts, first to the demigods, then to the rishis, saintly persons. Srila Prabhupada is paraphrasing, Devarshir bhutapta nirnang pitrinam nakinkaro nayam ranicha rajan, this verse, which he quoted, I believe, 3 times in Bhagavad Gita as it is. Devarshi bhutapta nirnang pitrinam nakinkaro nayam ranicha rajan. Sarvatmanaya sharanang sharanyang gato mukundam parihritya karatum. We all have debts. Srila Prabhupada explained, first to the demigods, then to the rishis, the saintly persons. Because we get knowledge, Vedic knowledge from the rishis, we must be debtors. Gururin, debtor to the spiritual master, to the sages, to the saintly persons, because we are getting knowledge from them. Therefore, Vyasa Puja is there. Once in a year, the disciples are worshipping the spiritual master and trying to repay what he has received from the spiritual master. So the necessity is prema bhakti. Prema bhakti jaha hoite obidya binasha jate divya gyan. What is that divya gyan? Divya means transcendental, not material. Tapo divyam. Divya means we are a combination of matter and spirit. That spirit is divya, transcendental. Aparayam itas tu vidhi me prakritam para. That is para prakriti, superior. There is the superior identity. And for understanding that superior identity, we require superior knowledge, not ordinary knowledge. Divya jnana hriday prakashito. So this is the duty of the Guru, to awaken that divya gyan. And because Guru enlightens that divya gyan, he is worshipped. Then on the 11th of July 1971, Srila Prabhupada said, my responsibility is what I have received from disciplic succession from my spiritual master. I'm just presenting the same thing without any adulteration. This is a major point which Srila Prabhupada stressed again and again and again. Guru means he takes what he has heard from his Guru. His Guru is a bona fide Guru is because he takes what he has heard, and it goes all the way back to Krishna. What Krishna speaks, it's passed down. If it's changed, then sakale neha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. In course of time, it's practically expected that someone's going to adulterate this disciplic succession. But if it's not adulterated, if the same message is coming, then who speaks that, what is received, that is the Guru. Srila Prabhupada said, that is my business, that is my responsibility. I must present things exactly in the same way as it was presented by Krishna, as it was presented by Arjuna, as it was presented by our acharyas, by Lord Chaitanya, and at last by my spiritual master, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. So similarly, if you take up the Krishna conscious movement in the same spirit, and if you distribute to other people, to your other countrymen, surely it will be effective. So Srila Prabhupada is saying this has come down through disciplic succession. Now I'm giving it to you. You have to give it to others. If there's no adulteration, surely, Prabhupada said, it will be effective. Prabhupada said, there is no bluff, there is no cheating. It is pure spiritual consciousness. Just practice it and distribute it. Your life will be glorious. Srila Prabhupada said that in America. Take it, distribute it without any adulteration. And here in India, one verse or when meeting Indian people overseas, one verse that Srila Prabhupada repeatedly quoted, Bharata bhumite hoilo manusya janma ja, janma shata kari karo para upaka. Those who are fortunate to have taken birth as humans in this land of Bharata, at the time of Lord Chaitanya, now it's still the time of Lord Chaitanya. It's still going on. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement is still going on. It's only once in a day of Lord Brahma in any universe. So those who are fortunate to be born in the land of Bharata, they have the duty to take this, make their life successful, and distribute it to others. We can see what a special place this is. We have so many temples in the Western world by the grace of Srila Prabhupada. But we don't get people coming to any of our temples like we have coming to Tirupati here. Here on the major days we have how many? More than 2-3 lakhs people coming on one day, is it? Just right now, today there'll be more than 200,000 visitors to this temple on the hill, Tirumala. It's huge. And then we have at Nathdwara, huge number, tiny little temple. You can hardly get in. They're constant. There's like a pushing and shoving. This tiny little temple. So many people. In Mayapur, there's no room to move. At Mangalarti, 4,000 people every day at Mangalarti throughout the year, before the main temple is opened. It's a very special place, this land of India. So we should make, especially here, we should preach very strongly the message of Lord Chaitanya. Another holy place which has huge number of, well, it's not holy, that's the point. It's called Shirdi in Maharashtra. And hundreds of thousands of people go there. And it's completely bogus. Absolutely bogus. 100%. There's nothing even slightly non-bogus about it. They're worshipping a Muslim fakir. It's insane. But it's going on. So there's something we can agree with at least some Mayavadis about. This Shankaracharya of, which one is that? The Dwaraka. He's against Sai Baba worship. So here in Andhra, because people are more religious or more sentimental, it used to be the so-called Satya Sai Baba. Now they're all crazy after this nonsense. And it's spreading. And we didn't used to see hardly in Gujarat. It wasn't there much. Now it's everywhere. Shirdi Sai Baba. So in the name of Hinduism, so much nonsense is going on. So we have to preach. Book distribution is required. But we have to speak the message. Otherwise, it's there in the books. But we have to waken it up. People may read the book, but we have to really Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. We have to waken that knowledge within the heart by speaking it also. We have to give that knowledge. So this glorification I was saying, how quoting from Srila Prabhupada, and of course Srila Prabhupada is Srila Prabhupada, and I am one of approximately 5,000, little less than 5,000, who are so fortunate to be accepted by Srila Prabhupada as his initiated disciples. Of course, there is another bogus movement going on which claims that there are disciples of Srila Prabhupada being initiated even now, and you see 20-year-old boys saying, I'm a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, direct disciple, completely imagination, without any basis in guru or sadhu or shastra. It's the basis in someone's imagination. But I was one of the approximately 5,000 who were fortunate to be accepted as one of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, and now this festival is there for honoring Srila Prabhupada, and I hope I'm doing my duty properly by instilling in you a sense of understanding the importance of Srila Prabhupada, and that we all have to cooperate together to please Srila Prabhupada. I hope you're all getting that from me, because if not, then I'm not doing my job properly and I shouldn't be being praised here. But if I am doing that, then I trust that you, all of you who should be aware of what Srila Prabhupada wants, can appreciate that Srila Prabhupada will be pleased with the glorification of his disciples for continuing the disciplic succession, and not displeased with it, as the so-called Ritvigvadis say. Srila Prabhupada said that it's all coming out in my new book, soon to be published. The writing is finished. The mood and mission of Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada, in one of his quotes, said, my glory will be when my disciples are honored all over the world. So I'm not coming here for being honored, but as Srila Prabhupada said, it's a necessity, it's a duty. If you're going to accept disciples, it's part of what you do, as demonstrated to us by Srila Prabhupada. I often visualize the universe, all the planets, and stars, and just to think. It's very helpful if we think just of this one tiny universe, which is so huge in comparison to this little body or even this little Earth planet. I often think of that. It's very helpful to think how small I am. Because it's very dangerous for spiritual life to sit in front of others and be honored by them. So it's always helpful to realize how small I am, and always to remember Jogata Bichare Kichu Nahi Pai Tomara Karuna Shah, that I have no personal qualification, but whatever honorable things may be happening, it's all the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. It's a very useful meditation for all of us. We're supposed to meditate on Krishna, but just to put our problems in perspective. We all have problems. We all have headaches. There are things which annoy us all. It's always good to remember how small we are. And whatever problems we have, it's just in a tiny little blip of time. We may not even remember the thing which is pressing on our mind so much. If we happen to live another 20 years, right now there may be something pressing on my mind. Oh, terrible problem. And 20 years later, of course, I don't expect to be around in 20 years' time in this body. But anyway, as way of example, 20 years later, some may say, oh, do you remember? What was that? No, I don't remember it at all. It becomes so insignificant. So it's always helpful to us to remember how small we are, how insignificant we are. But then we may think then, well, if everything is so small and the whole universe is so small, then what does anything matter at all? Why bother preaching? Why bother doing anything? Why should we bother preaching? Everyone's small and insignificant. Well, we shouldn't think like that. We should think that Krishna is very merciful. Even though we're so small, He has kindly picked us up through the agency of Srila Prabhupada, and through the agency of Srila Prabhupada's representatives. And Krishna wants that we should spread this message to others. Srila Prabhupada, as we hear from these few quotes, Srila Prabhupada again and again told his disciples to spread this message. So we should do whatever we can. Amar Agyai Guru Hoya Taro E Desh. Everyone should be a guru. You can be a guru to your little children. You can be a guru to the few people you meet in the neighborhood. Everyone should try to spread Krishna consciousness within their capacity. One thing I should say, at least once a year, is that some of my disciples may have the idea that I'm some Nitya Siddha Mahapurush, fell out of Vaikuntha or came from Vaikuntha. But I think Basu Ghosh Prabhupada, he knows me since we were both kids. And by default, I'm sitting here. That by age, as you get older, you have to, just like you have either physical children or spiritual children, it's your duty to do so. But we're all struggling sadhakas, and I am proof of Srila Prabhupada's compassion on the fallen souls. If we think that all of Prabhupada's disciples are Nitya Siddha Mahapurush, no doubt some are. But if we think they're all liberated souls from the spiritual world, then where's Prabhupada's glory in uplifting them? It's not just a show. Prabhupada fulfilled more than Lord Chaitanya did. Dino hino joto chilo hariname udharilo. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu uplifted the fallen by spreading the holy name. But what Srila Prabhupada, what he went among, is very nicely described in that first, especially the second volume of that Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, the early days of ISKCON. What Srila Prabhupada had to undertake, what difficulties he had to undertake to bring Krishna consciousness to all of us. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada would express his gratitude to his disciples by saying that they gave up everything to follow him. And many of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, they came from well-to-do families, well-educated, but not me. I didn't come from a rich family. I wasn't highly educated. I didn't give up anything to follow Srila Prabhupada. I didn't give up everything. I got everything from him, and I didn't give up anything, except I gave up my misery and my useless way of life. So I didn't really give up anything. I was saved from everything by Srila Prabhupada's mercy. I was saying that my duty is to instill in you a sense of Srila Prabhupada's greatness. We see that Srila Prabhupada, he taught his disciples to worship him, which might seem very strange, but no one knew in the Western world. He had to do it. He didn't talk very much about his own guru. The teachings he gave are absolutely in line with those of his guru. After I published that book, Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava, several devotees told me that it had really boosted their faith and their confidence, because they can see that Srila Prabhupada taught the same thing as Bhaktisiddhanta. And I thought, what? Did you think that he was teaching something different? That was the whole praman, that he always said, I'm simply giving what my guru gave. But he didn't talk about him very much. Time to time he would mention, not very much. But my duty as a disciple of Srila Prabhupada is somewhat different in that regard. I have to speak the same teachings, but I also have to impress upon you a sense of the importance of Srila Prabhupada, because we have to distribute his books, we have to, I can quote here. Now, one quote from Srila Prabhupada which really impacted on me. I was present. I wasn't present in many lectures of Srila Prabhupada. Basughosh Prabhu was. You sat in many of his lectures, but this was in Vrindavan in 1975. Srila Prabhupada said in a Bhagavatam class in the morning, in which I happened to be present, that you should make Srimad Bhagavatam your life. And that really struck me. It struck me that actually Hari Shori Prabhu elaborated on this, that Srila Prabhupada is a living Bhagavatam. That when he was traveling with Srila Prabhupada, he could see the Bhagavatam in action. Ek Bhagavata Baro Bhagavata Ek Bhagavata Baro Bhagavata Shastra Ar Bhagavat Bhakta Bhakti Rasa Patra. Chaitanya Charitamrita says that this word Bhagavat applies to two entities. One is the book Bhagavat, and the other is the person Bhagavat. And Hari Shori Prabhu said he could see Srimad Bhagavatam personified in Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada, his life is Bhagavatam, and he told us you should make Bhagavatam your life. So I thought that means we should study Bhagavatam, we should Tadshrinvan Supatan Vicharana Paro, we should hear the message of Bhagavatam, Tadshrinvan Supatan, study it very carefully, try to understand it, live our life according to Bhagavatam, and distribute also. So I'm also trying to play my part in fulfilling Srila Prabhupada's desire by promoting the distribution of his books. I can claim credit for being the first permanent or semi-permanent book distribution at Tirumala, just for 2 months. I was up there for 2 months before you came here. And then I came there. Then I had a bus. I just parked it up there. I was traveling around South India. I thought, what do we need to travel anywhere for? We can stay here forever. But then my boys, and I also thought, well, let's go do some more traveling. We're going to different holy places and doing Harinam and book distribution. This was, it must have been 1989 or 90, I think. Something like that. So yeah, I should promote Srila Prabhupada. And not that you neglect me. I have to focus you on Prabhupada because Srila Prabhupada focused a lot of attention on himself because that was what his disciples needed. And I should focus your attention on Srila Prabhupada because that's what you need also. You see that? Srila Prabhupada's very special position. I've given some outline of that in this upcoming book, The Mood and Mission of Srila Prabhupada. So, next thing is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In the streets of Tirupati.